Now at 6, we'll hear from an unemployment agency in Joplin on the city's recent unemployment numbers. Plus, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announces funding towards community mental health centers. And a popular author visits Mcdonald County High School to speak to middle schoolers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Southeast Kansas man fights for his life after an attempted murder and robbery. This is your KOAM News at 6. I'm Jalen Banks. Fort Scott police released information today, but the crime happened on September 24th. Authorities responded to the 400 block of Andrick in Fort Scott. They found 39-year-old Kenneth Bevins lying in the grass with multiple injuries. As of today, police have arrested 4 people in connection to the crime. 2 are juveniles and 2 are adults. Formal charges have been filed against one of the adults, 20-year-old Taven Eisenbrandt. Court documents allege he robbed Blevins, taking his knife and stabbing him with it. Blevins remains in critical condition. Joplin and Missouri's unemployment remained in a record low in August. The Joplin unemployment rate was 2.4%, according to the Missouri Economic Research and Information Center. This is the lowest it has been since 1990. Before this summer, Joplin had a previous low of 2.7% over a 5-month stretch in the fall and summer of 2018 before the pandemic.
The baby boomers, I believe, is a big change in the demographic of workers. Many of them who were employed before the pandemic maybe chose not to go back to work afterwards. So our workforce is changing. Many of them are younger, and they are just looking for different types of jobs. They're a little more discerning in what they do and when.
Warrens say people are more discerning in the type of jobs that they want. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly today announced Kansas has received more than $12.6 million to help 13 community health centers. It will help qualify them as certified community behavioral health clinics. The funds will help the centers offer new services such as substance abuse, disorder treatments, and integrating behavior health care with physical health care.
And so it positions us to be able to offer more services, but also better quality services. We'll be offering also research-based therapies to people that are evidence-based, and so they'll be assured that they're getting quality care, and so that's our primary goal.
Among the centers receiving funding were the Crawford County Mental Health Center, Labette Center for Mental Health Services, and Spring River Mental Health and Wellness. Hopefully that brings a lot of help to people, but now we move to weather. Sam, what do you have for us?
Yeah, very hopeful on the radar right now with some scattered showers extending from around Sedan over to the Ville, down to Welch, down into Veneta, and then also some scattered showers across Delaware County, now starting to move into the Miami area and also northwestern Arkansas. So at least we're seeing some rain making an appearance across the 4 states. And lows this morning were pretty pleasant, especially up to the north and west in Yates Center, where they were down to 48, 57 here in Joplin, 53 in Neosho, and for our friends down in Pineville. Then this afternoon, the sun came out and temperatures warmed up into the upper 70s to around 80 degrees in many locations. But check out temperatures now. They're down in the 60s in Oklahoma, where the rain has been occurring. And the winds this afternoon were a little bit gusty as well this afternoon, generally around 15 to 20 miles per hour this afternoon. Now they're starting to head off just a little bit. And let's take a look ahead. We have some rain finally returning, maybe a severe storm in our forecast. I'll tell you about that, as well as how much rain to expect. And maybe some folks will have the first freeze. We'll have details coming straight up.
Getting the chance to meet your community can be a rewarding moment for any officer. So today, police had the chance to do just with that with their Coffee with the Cop event. The event is a part of a nationwide initiative called National Faith and Blue Weekend. At Coffee with the Cop, officers were able to chat and play games with members of the community while enjoying a nice cup of joe.
It's just it's kind of a humanizing the badge movement to try to get the community to realize we're more than just officers, we're people too, and the department really gets the benefit of interacting and building those relationships with our community who, if anyone's been in Pittsburgh a long time, knows Pittsburgh's a real community strong people.
Coffee with the Cop was at Root Coffee House and ended at 11 this morning. Some Mcdonald County middle school students got a chance to meet a best-selling author and learn about overcoming challenges. KOAM's Amber Jenkins learned more about what inspired the author and how she's inspiring others.
Best-selling middle grade author Dusty Bowling spoke to students in Anderson, Missouri. Bowling is known for writing novels with characters preteens can relate to.
Well, I mean, a lot of the subject matter I write about is inspired by my own childhood, some of the tough stuff I was going through. Like I touched on the fact that I grew up with both of my parents were addicts, alcoholics.
Most of her novel plots are inspired by her personal life and childhood.
Because when I was a kid, I loved books, I loved reading, but so many of those books were about really happy, kind of almost perfect, very stable families. And so sometimes I felt really alone, like I must be the only kid in the world going through these things at home.
Bowling wants to show kids that writing stories from different points of view can create interesting novels.
Yes, I think the bigger variety of books we have from the largest variety of people is what's best for the publishing industry and just for readers in general, to just be able to read diverse stories from all different areas and backgrounds and life experiences. I think that's what it's all about, and I hope a lot of kids in here do write.
Bowling's passion for storytelling in kids is evident in her writing.
I like Dusty because I like how she puts in the hard work into the books, and what she writes about and the kids.
Mackenzie is anticipating Bowling's new book because she sees herself as the main character.
Because the girl, she has asthma, I have asthma, so I could relate to it.
Reporting in Anderson, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
This is Bowling's first speaking tour in middle schools since the pandemic. A local author today visited Joplin High School to discuss the lessons from her debut novel. The book is called A Three-Letter Name. It's written by Annie Listenby, a Joplin native. It's a young adult dark fantasy about two teens in a fight for survival while also adjusting to personal disabilities. Listenby says she hopes the students can connect with the characters and their struggles.
See these characters who have disabilities represented honorably and truly, and see the struggles that people with disabilities go through. I also hope that they would see just what it means to have a community and a family that you're willing to, fight and give everything for.
Today's visit kicks off the high school library's Teen Read Week. Coming up, we'll hear from a Southwest Missouri woman on her story of a female swine appearing next to her apartment. And later, we'll check out this week's performance of the week from last week's Friday night football action. A sow turned up in the woods next to the senior living apartments in Marshfield, Missouri. It became quite well known for eluding capture and escaping death. Joe Hickman has more.
It was 72-year-old Sue Judding who first befriended the pig when it came out of the woods next to her apartment. With Interstate 44 and a truck stop nearby, the sow had somehow escaped from a livestock transporter.
She was originally headed for the butcher shop, Somebody had a truck, and the pig pushed the door open and jumped out. She said, "I'm not doing this."
At first, the pig was distant and nervous around humans, until Sue started feeding it human food.
She really loves chocolate chip cookies.
And slowly, she became a pet, just like Sue's pug, Buddy.
I didn't own her. She wasn't really mine, but she thought she was. When I would walk the dog, she would walk right with me. She was a big dog.
For months, several different agencies attempted and failed to capture Miss Piggy, but everyone agreed that after surviving that trip to the slaughterhouse, she deserved to live.
And they all said, "We're not hurting that pig. She's all over Facebook. She's been on TV. She was famous."
But then came another surprise. As it turned out, Miss Piggy was pregnant, and suddenly there were 7 piglets that needed a new home as well. And that's when Jody Burke entered the picture. Jody runs Hoofin' to Please, her own mobile hoof trimming service in Republic, and she took in the 7 babies.
Oh, we got a little bit of zoomies.
They have a new home.
They're in my bedroom with me.
Although they will outgrow that.
We're guesstimating around 500 to 600 pounds.
The piglets are not bottle fed, but given milk in a cookie pan.
They still want to nurse even though they've been pan fed, but they still try to nurse any chance they can get.
And while all 7 piglets were captured,
we were unable to catch Mama at that time.
Miss Piggy was not happy when her babies were taken away.
The next morning, she was at my door. That face, she looked like a puppy dog. She was really angry with me, pushing on my wheelchair, and I knew it was about the baby.
Finally, though, on Labor Day, Miss Piggy was tranquilized and moved to Jody's farm in Republic as well. Because Mom was so big and not physically able to nurse, she's not allowed in the same pen as the babies, but
they won't be used for breeding, they won't be used for food. They'll be purely like pets, like dogs and cats.
It was a very emotional time for me. after all these months of getting to know her, you know.
While Sue is glad to finally be done with her Dr. Doolittle duties, she's still a little worried.
But she doesn't feed her the cookies and the goodies that I did.
And it's definitely changed her life in one big way.
I can't eat bacon anymore.
A little later, we'll hear from the Chiefs on tonight's matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders.
And we're going to take a look at the radar because there's actually something on it, and we'll have your detailed forecast straight ahead. Well, friends and neighbors, in case you've forgotten, liquid water falling out of the sky, it's called rain. And we actually have some on radar. We're going to show it to you. We're going to prove it here in just a second. Right now, it's cloudy down in Seneca, Missouri at the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. The rain is starting to advance towards southwestern Missouri, and so these folks will also start to see some rain a little bit later. All right, let's take a look at the weather almanac first. You can see off to the south and west in Joplin, here's the rain that's starting to advance in from the south and west. We made it up to 80 degrees after starting out at 57, which was above normal, but at least we weren't near that record of 92 back in 63 or the 30 back in the year 2000. This month, we've had 8 days above normal on temperatures as far as the highs go, 2 days below normal. We might see a few below normal days over the next week or so, and that would be welcome news. But here's the real welcome news, the rainfall. Look at radar. We're starting to see some showers move up from southwestern parts of our area in northeast Oklahoma. Also some thunderstorms down near Wichita. And let's take a little wider view, and you can see this is all part of an upper level low that is now pulling out into north central Texas. That's going to spread to the north and east overnight, and that means rainfall across our area, and that is very welcome. Temperatures right now are generally in the 70s across the area, 73 in Joplin, but notice down in Oklahoma it's in the upper 60s to lower 70s where the rainfall is starting to occur. Meanwhile, it's still 76 degrees for our friends in Nevada. The dew points, they're on the increase too because of the added moisture in the air. 62 in Veneta right now, 59 in Commerce, 59 up in Nevada as well. Let's take a look at the current temperature here in Joplin. We're sitting at 73. It feels like 73. The dew point's 57, and the pressure, of course, is starting to fall ahead of that storm system. Let's take a look at the forecast for tonight, and this is a welcome sight to see. Lots of rain moving up from the south and west, spreading across our area in the overnight hours and early morning, with lows generally in the 60s across our region. Then as we go through the day tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. By afternoon, most of the rain will start to move off towards the east, with highs generally in the upper 70s in Missouri and Arkansas, maybe some 80s in southwestern parts of our area and also southeastern Kansas, around 80 in Fredonia. Then as we go through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we have a front moving in from the north and west. I wish this front was a little bit slower because it would mean more storms possible for our area, but unfortunately the timing is off. So it looks like there may be some storms in the morning up to the north with lows in the 60s. Then the front sweeps through the area, taking the rain chances with it, and we'll have northwesterly winds and highs generally in the mid-70s. Then as we go through Thursday morning, we're going to see lows generally in the 50s and 40s across our area with northwesterly winds and drier conditions. There is a risk of severe weather, but it's only marginal. It's mainly up in southeastern Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. We'll have to watch that pretty closely, and the threat right now is low on all the categories. Then tomorrow, or I should say Wednesday, the threat moves eastward into southeastern Missouri and northeastern Arkansas. Again, the threat is low. We expect rainfall amounts to generally be around half an inch in some locations, maybe an inch in the Ville, but that's a lucky number right there. Most areas are going to receive around 2 to 3 tenths. Then as we go through Wednesday, the amounts may increase a little bit just off towards the east. All right, over the next 7 days, nice weather as far as temperatures and also nice weather as far as the rainfall too. And then as we head towards next weekend, we have another round of storms possible. And then it gets much chilly or chillier behind that frontal system early next week, Jalen.
All right, sounds good. Definitely liking what I see on the radar, and then fingers crossed on those rain chances.
I think everyone's going to be happy. Yep.
All right, thank you, Sam. And coming up in sports, we reveal the performance of the week. And Chiefs Pro Bowl defensive tackle Chris Jones breaks down tonight's game against the Raiders. Danny Terzer has that and more next.
Pitt State grinded out a huge win over Northwest on Saturday, 24-22. It was the first time the Gorillas beat the Bearcats since 2017. Pitt State, now 6-0, holds steady at number 7 in the AFCA coaches poll. The Gorillas hit the road to face Lincoln this week. Northwest drops from 9 to 16, and Nebraska Kearney moves up to 22. 2 Pitt State players earn conference honors. PJ Sarwinski is named the Defensive Athlete of the Week. He led the Gorillas with 9 tackles, including 1.5 tackles for loss. Cross Holmes is selected as the Special Teams Player of the Week. He nailed a 45-yard field goal with 2 minutes remaining to help secure the Gorillas' win. He was also 3 for 3 on PATs. Galena handed Parsons its first loss of the season on Friday, 14-13. The Bulldogs' thrilling win is voted this week's Performance of the Week. Galena is 4-2 overall and 3-0 in district play following Friday's win. The defense held a Parsons team that was averaging 50 points per game to just 13, all in the first half. The Bulldogs' offense got to work in the second, scoring 14 unanswered points to beat the Vikings.
You know, we talk every week at halftime. You know, the score's 0-0 at halftime. You know, regardless of the score, we got to win this half. You know, unfortunately for us, they won the first half, and we had to come out second half and win that second half. And I think our kids have bought into that since you know, the beginning of the season. And so you know, Friday night was just kind of a true test to that.
The Kansas City Chiefs are back in primetime this week, hosting Las Vegas tonight at Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs are 3-1 entering the night and 7-point favorites. Key matchup, Raiders running back Josh Jacobs against the Chiefs' run defense. Jacobs is coming off a career-best performance, while the Chiefs have allowed the fewest rushing yards in the league this season. Here's defensive tackle Chris Jones on tonight's game.
Their record doesn't reflect how good of a team they are. They have an exceptional group. They have one of the best tight ends in there. The offense is very dynamic. Hunter Renfro, one of the better slot guys in this league. And when you look at the dynamic of their offense, they're pretty challenging for a lot of situations. It's hard to go man-to-man, leave Devontae Adams one-on-one. Then you worry about Hunter Renfro. Then they got a running back who can rush for 100 yards on any given Sunday. So we got to try to draw up a scheme to stop these guys.
I know their run defense has played really well, but if they get up against the Raiders and they're able to pin their ears back and rush the passer, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, the rest of those guys should have a really good day today.
Hopefully, you know, every division game is a big one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're always close. Well, that's it for sports. We're back after this. We take time now to honor a local veteran. Dale Emmert served in the U.S. Army Air Corps from 1942 to 1944. His hometown, Chetopa, Kansas. We're proud to salute Corporal Dale Emmert, our First Aid hero. And here's a look at what's coming up on the KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. A new type of smart helmet could keep firefighters safer while also speeding up rescues. Also, several economists say with so many states sending out inflation relief payments, inflation is actually getting worse. And McDonald's is taking us down memory lane just in time for Halloween. We'll explain on the KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. The bright orange sticky residue that Cheetos leave on your fingertips has now been immortalized with the giant 17-foot statue of a hand holding a massive Cheeto. The Cheetos brand erected the statue in the Cheeto community in Alberta, Canada. Why there? Well, because Cheeto is actually what Cheetos Company calls its infamous cheesy fingertip dusting.
Cheeto.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Well, we might have some wet weather to wash those fingers off, that's for sure. And that's a good thing because we desperately need the rainfall. Looking at the 10-day forecast, we have rain tonight into tomorrow morning, and then it dries out a little bit. We have another chance on the weekend, and then we start seeing lows in the 30s to put some frost on the pumpkins maybe. So.
All right, Danny?
Big one for the Chiefs tonight against the Raiders. We'll be following that. We'll have updates at 10.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you for watching. We'll see you right back here at 10 o'clock. Let's make it a great evening.